All right, hello, welcome to lesson 1 with Ashley and Brian.
Hello.
We'll be working first on breathing. So first we're going to start out with an exercise on Apagio breathing, which really focuses on support and supported breath. This exercise is to help strengthen coordination between your diaphragm and your abdominal muscles while breathing, and it'll also help you become more aware of your ribs and your belly expanding while inhaling. So the goal for this exercise is to build some awareness of where you're putting your breaths, and for this activity to start feeling more normal and more of an instinct rather than something awkward or different. So to start out, you can either lay down or you can press your back against the wall. We don't have either of those here right now, but that is perfectly fine. Just do whatever is most comfortable for you. We're going to start by placing our hands on our waist, pointing our fingers inward towards your belly button, with the palms of your hands touching your lower ribs. So like right up here. And we're just gonna slowly breathe in for 4 counts and out for 4 counts. And when you do this, I want you to think about filling yourself up from the belly to the rib cage. So we're just kind of like expanding in this area. So let's just take 4 breaths in and 4 breaths out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. So what did you feel right in this area? Like, how did that feel for you?
Sort of felt like just like my tummy area was like expanding a little bit. Felt like when I was breathing, it went like deep down, you know. So
yeah, that's exactly what we want to feel. We want that deep breath filling right up in here, just like a balloon. So let's just breathe in and out a few more times. So let's just go 2 more times. In for 4, out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out and in and out. And we're gonna do that 1 more time, and I really want you to focus on, just close your eyes and focus on that air entering your lungs and coming out of your lungs. And try to think of it as like inhaling, it's like one color, and then it goes in and fills up, and then it pushes out in a different color. Just like try to think of it in more visual way, and that'll help you kind of just keep track of your breathing more in a sense. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
Okay,
sense.
all right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, and you should have been able to feel your hands rise up as you inhale because you're expanding your thoracic cage and abdominals. And when you exhale, you should feel that release.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to breathe in and out on 4 counts 4 more times, and just keep feeling that balanced breath. Feel like everything kind of going as one solid motion. Not up here where you don't want that shallow breath, because that's not gonna fill you up, and we don't want you to be like, because that wouldn't be natural. Just like a nice, relaxed, calm breath. So let's do that 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out and in and out. And 3rd time in and out. Last time and out. All right, so also in lesson 1, we have another breathing exercise, and this is one of my favorites. It's called the windmill of death. And I know that sounds pretty ominous and kind of scary, but you'll see in a minute, it's not actually like deadly unless you're like packed like sardines in a group of people. So this exercise is a fun interactive breathing exercise. You start with your hands at your side, make sure you have like good a relaxed stance, just like loosen up, nice and relaxed. And you're going to breathe in for 4 counts while raising your hands up. And then you're going to exhale for 4 counts and bring your hands down. And this exercise opens up your lungs as you reach your arms upwards and it focuses on a clavicular breathing because it just opens up things through your shoulders when you breathe inwardly. It just like that raising of your shoulders and everything opens everything up. And it works on breathing control and timing your breathing as you go. So we're going to start and we're going to do 4 counts in, raising your hands up, and 4 counts out. And this is why it gets its name, because you're kind of windmilling your arms, and if you're like in a group with a lot of people, you could accidentally just like bonk and bah. If it was a real windmill, it would not be good for you. We don't want a Don Quixote moment in here. All right, so let's do in for 4 and out for 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. All right, now we're gonna do in for 4 and then out for 8.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to do 12. Make sure that when you take the inhalation, you want to take a nice big supported breath, just like that first exercise we worked on. You want that nice balanced breath that you can feel in your stomach right there. So let's breathe in for 4 and out for 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. All right, in for 4 and then out for 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. Now that we've done that, we're gonna go in for 2 and then out for 8. And this is going to focus on taking a quick breath and then pushing that out evenly. So let's breathe in for 2, make sure it's a big, nice, full breath, and then balance that out in 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and in, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very nice. Now let's do in for 1, out for 8.
Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those are for like moments when you need like a quick breath and then you need to play for a long time. So you need to prepare yourself for those big, full supported breaths, even though it's a shorter amount of time. Now let's do 2 in for 1, out for 4. So we're gonna do it 2 times.
In for 1, out for 4, 2 times?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. 2, 2, 3, 4, and in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, very nice. Do you have any questions?
Oh no, I was just gonna comment that I feel like you know, we said we put up the arms for the sake of opening everything up, but I feel like that also helped like the rate or like speed in which my breath came out, because I feel like towards the end, if I was going slow, then I had to speed up my arms, which kind of naturally made me speed up my breath a little bit. So it's pretty interesting.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
Now we will be working on phonation, or making a sound in addition to the previous exercise we did without breathing. What do you think phonation is?
Phonation, I guess very simplified, it's just making a sound with your voice.
Yeah, it's in order to phonate, the vocal cords must be adducted and the pressure of our breath needs to be increased to exceed what is called the phonation threshold pressure, which is the pressure needed to overcome resistance of your glottal adduction and start the movement of your vocal cords. So in simpler terms, yes, it is just making a sound. Your vocal cords need to vibrate and you need that oscillation or vibration to create a sound. And that is what phonation is. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what you said for phonation, there must be oscillation. What's oscillation?
Oscillation is that movement that the vocal cords make in order to create a sound. So when you use your breath, and break that PTP, which is the phonation threshold pressure, that is when you breathe out and create a sound. So it's like if you start and you're just breathing, you're just like, you're not making a sound and you're not oscillating or moving those vocal folds. But if you start and you go talk, basically, if you're just like, hello, you're breaking that threshold in order to create that sound.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so even just like humming,
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yes,
Cool.
that would all be breaking that threshold. So we are going to take a deep breath like we did before in the previous exercise and exhale, but I want you to imagine you're blowing through a straw. So really focus your exhalation into just a little, like you're throwing a dart, but not as aggressive, just a little. So let's just breathe in for 4 and out for 4 a couple of times. I'll cut you off when we're done with that. And just imagine blowing through that straw. Keep your hands on your stomach like you did in the previous exercise. And keep taking that balanced inhalation when we do this. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in and out. And in and out. And in and out. All right. So now that we've done that, we've figured out a constant stream of air, a small constant stream of air. And now we're going to use that to create a sound. So let's start on a note that is comfortable for you. So would this be a comfortable?
Oh, wait.
Or can you sing all of those?
Yeah.
Just go. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were in a comfortable range before we started. So we're going to start on this note, this A, and we're going to sing on an ooh. We're going to breathe in for 4, and then we're going to go ooh on that little straw of air. So can you just do that with me? 1, 2,
Sorry.
3, 4, and ooh. Yeah, so just like that. We're gonna think of that straw space when we're exhaling. So now we're going to sing that ooh going up in half steps.
Okay.
So just and we'll take a break in between each one. I was just going through.
Okay.
All right, I'll count you off and we're gonna do 2 counts for each note, but we're gonna take a big full 4 count breath in before. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, sorry, that was my bad. I should have explained more. We're gonna breathe in for 4 counts and then out for 2 counts. I was just playing the note. It's okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Very nice. I'm gonna have you do that once by yourself without me. If you need to, you can take a breath and I'll like pause and then we'll move on to the next note so you don't wait. But you should be able to just make it through there with that little space and that exhalation, that straw. You should be able to take all of that air that you filled up with in those 4 counts and give it out evenly so you can hit all of those notes.
Okay.
All right. So starting note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Yeah, very nice. What did you feel going through that? How did you feel in your abdomen, in your belly, in your throat, in your mouth? How did everything feel?
I definitely got the straw thing, you know, it was like very like smooth, and I feel like it almost helped me imagine like push the air out like farther, like almost like throwing it across the room. Definitely the breathing exercise in the beginning that we did helped. Kind of similar to when I was learning how to play trumpet. You know, you have to start low and then you have to consistently do it. But just because you blow out air like quickly doesn't mean you like blow out a lot of air. You know, like I was able to have enough breath support to.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Now we're going to be doing that with a couple more vowels. So we're going to start on an A for this next one. So it's gonna be like ah. And for this one, we want to feel a little bit more space. So it's going to be a little bit smaller of a stream, or a little bit bigger of a stream than the straw. So we're going to still keep in mind that straw concept. We want to make sure we're exhaling at an even, balanced pace, but we're going to be opening up and creating more space for the resonance of that ah.
Okay.
So we want that ah rather than a oh. We want a ah. And you can even hear how the shape of your mouth changing from the to the ah changes the volume and like how we perceive that sound. It's kind of interesting that way. Also for this, we're gonna try to crescendo up through this, those higher notes, because when you get to those like lower, it's a little bit easier to sing loud sometimes, because you're like, if I use all of my air right now, I'll be like, oh, and it'll be quieter and quieter and quieter, and we don't really want that. We want it to be balanced throughout. So just keep in mind that breathing exercise we did and try to crescendo through. So, any questions about that?
Is so pretty much just like the same thing that we did, but just change the vowel?
Change the vowel and then try to put a little bit more emphasis on those last notes.
Okay.
So just be a little bit louder. And another thing that will help with that is your posture. So just try to relax for a bit, just kind of like shake it out, really relax your body. And then just like take a stand, like just stand normally, and then take your shoulders and roll them back so you open up your chest cavity here. And keep your head kind of up so we're not closing off that sound, but we don't want to have it too high and then also mess that sound up. We want it to be nice and relaxed so you can move your head and like just feel really comfortable. Yeah, all right. So that should make it easier as well.
Cool.
All right, so start on that ah. So we'll inhale for 4, out for 2 on each note.
Okay.
I'll go a little bit faster so we don't run out of air as quickly. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale. Very nice. Now just you. Try to put a little bit more of a crescendo on that. So think about starting kind of at a mezzo forte and then move towards a forte when we get to the last part of those notes.
Okay.
All right. I'll go a little bit faster.
Okay.
In, 2, 3, 4, and. Awesome. Did you hear how when we did the ooh and you had like a little bit of a poor posture, it sounded a little bit quieter and muffled, and then now doing that ah, it sounded more open and bold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't sing often, you know, I'm not particularly a fan, sorry, Dr. Aguilera. But I felt like I sort of, what's the word, kind of like, I don't know if the word's like open my mouth, like I overemphasized it, and then it helped like sing louder almost. So.
I feel like that's one thing that can be noted is it's okay to overemphasize your facial expressions and like how you're opening your mouth for these things, because if you do a lesser amount of that, then it can close off that sound, because in your head you think you're doing it normally and you're like, oh, this is fine, but once you actually start doing it, it's not the same as if you were being like ah rather than ah. Like for example, if you were singing like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you're just like, Mary had a little lamb. Like you think you're singing like normally because you're opening your mouth, you're like, I'm breathing normally, all of that stuff. But you can make a much better sound if you really over exaggerate those things. So it's just like, Mary had a little lamb. And you can project more with that as well. All right, so now let's do it on an E. So this is gonna sound a little bit more closed off because we're reducing the space in our mouth to create that sound. So it's gonna be more of an E than an ah. So it's not gonna be as loud per se. So we need to really push with that crescendo to get those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right,
Okay.
cool. So let's do that same thing on an E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Very nice. Now just you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Awesome. What did you notice going from the U to the A to the E?
I feel like from the oo to the ah, the first switch, I definitely felt it was got a lot easier, like I said, with like the volume, and then like hitting the high notes too, or like getting higher. But then going to E, I felt like it kind of like took a step back again, and it was almost difficult to like go higher and like increase my volume and stuff like that, just for me personally. But
Yeah, and that makes sense because those vowels are all different, and the A is a lot more open than the E, which is a lot more closed. So that'll change how easy it is to hit higher in your register. Okay, now we're gonna go to an O. So O. So there's gonna be more space than the E on this one. They go O, and we can do the same thing that we did for the A for the O. Just big, powerful. It should be a lot louder and more resonant than that E and that U. We want it to be that open. So just like say the word open with me, just open and really exaggerate it. Just open.
Open.
We want that big space in our mouth cavity right there.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Very nice. Did you hear how that was a lot louder and more powerful than that E was?
Yeah.
Okay, so now just you.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and in 2, 3, 4. Yeah, very nice. All right, and one last one, we're gonna do an I. So this is gonna be a little weird. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
So it's gonna feel different than the A and the O, but it's gonna feel more like the E, but even more closed off.
Okay.
And the thing about this one, it's gonna sound a little bit more nasally when you listen to this because it's just it's closing off, and you're gonna want to sing more through your sinuses, like this space right here. And so it'll sound all nasally, which we don't necessarily want. So you try to think about not singing with your nose. So if you're like, can you hear that?
Yeah.
That it doesn't sound as good as if you went. So you want to focus on creating that sound, even though there's little space, but you don't want to move it up. So can you try that with me just to make sure that you have it? So just go,
Like the nasally sound?
Try the nasally sound. And then plug your nose and just go, So you can hear it when you go like this, because you can hear the vibrations in your nose. But if you're just going like, try to feel it like right here, there's that, Now plug your nose and try. Yeah, exactly. You can't hear that sound when you really open up, even though it is kind of a closed up vowel.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. And yeah, very nice. You can hear at the upper parts, you kind of want to push towards that nasally sound because it gets harder to push through that note. But you want to just keep imagining that crescendo into that, because if you try to sing everything like it feels like the sound is rising up into your nose. And that's not necessarily what you want. You want that balanced, warm even though it's just a weird vowel in general. So let's do that, just you, and really focus on pushing through that crescendo and keeping that balanced air. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in. And very good. That worked pretty well. I could hear the difference between the first time you sang it and the second time you sang it, and how you're focusing on not pushing it to be nasally. The last part of this lesson, we'll be focusing on onsets and offsets in the glottal source. So we're going to be diving into this and how that can be applied to the voice. So the glottis is a part of the larynx that is made up by the vocal cords and the opening in between them. So you have your vocal cords, whoop, and that space in between them, which is filled when they go like this, when you oscillate, when they oscillate. This affects the vocal cord modulation through those movements that they make when you breathe and phonate. We're going to explore that along with onsets and offsets. So onsets are the starting of air in order to create a sound, and offsets are the release of that. So we have 3 types of onsets. We have glottal, aspirate, and balanced. And the glottal onset, which we're going to look at first, is a strong adduction which preceded by breath energy. And so in order to create that sound, you kind of go so try and just go like feel that I know, it's really weird. It doesn't feel very natural because your body doesn't want you to do that. And so it's kind of like that. And that stop right there is the glottis going
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go and try to start with it really close. So we're going to, just like when you swallow, it closes. So it's kind of that same feeling as when you swallow, and then we're gonna push out that air and phonate. So just do that with me for like a couple times. Go feel that So we're gonna do just C to G on those glottal onsets. So it's gonna sound like this. Okay. So do you want to just try that for me?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you feel how that's like really unnatural and just awkward feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one type of onset. The second onset is an aspirate onset, and this is when your breathing starts and then your vocal folds slowly adduct. So they slowly move. So it's when you go, ha, ha. So you just start that air and then you phonate. So just go like, ha, ha.
Kind of like sighing into a note. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. You're sighing into that note. So we're gonna do that same thing, the C to G.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just that ha, 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 ha. And the third onset is the balanced onset, which is a combination of the airflow and the glottis working together, basically. It's just everything lining up rather than the glottis going first or the air going first. So this is when you start the tone where the adduction and the airflow begin at the exact same time. So you phonate as you breathe. That phonation comes as the glottis opens. You just just like a normal breath in and exactly.
Okay.
So now let's do a balanced onset.
Sorry, real quick. So would you say that I'm trying to like compare it so it's easier to understand. So like first one's aspirate. That one's kind of like sighing. So is balance kind of just like when you normally speak, It's just like you just breathe and then you start speaking and it's just like perfectly at the same time kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking is just like that because when you're talking, you're not like, hi, my name is Ashley, or my name is Ashley.
Okay.
You want that balance, nice, even, everything's happening at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. All right, now we're going to look at those offsets or those releases. So they're the same, it's glottal, aspirate, and balanced, but the glottal offset is when the sound is stopped forcefully and by tightly adducting the glottis to cut off the airflow. So instead of going like you're going so you're just stopping it with your throat.
Okay.
So we're gonna go up on those 5 with a Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and now we're going to do the aspirate offset, which is the vocal folds are abducted while air continues to flow. So that's when you're like, So that's even more of a sigh than the onset version. So So you're like, you see something like somebody doing something gross, like picking their nose. You're like, or like you're bothered by someone. Just go, It's that same concept. So let's start that on that C.
Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly. All right, and the third and final one is the balanced offset, which is where everything lines up perfectly and you just release the notes. So you just so just try that. Just
Okay.
So everything is just nice and even and smooth, and we're not like choking off the note or just letting out too much air.
Okay.
So let's do that on that C again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and yeah. Are there any questions about offsets or onsets?
So there's onset is beginning and offset is the end of the notes, and then glottal is a quick like cut.
That's when you just kind of cut everything off.
And then aspirate is just like a smooth.
Yeah, you just let the air continue to flow.
Okay, and then balance is just balanced.
Everything working together.
Okay, just making sure.